She was found bloodied on the floor, her skull crushed, her husband standing over her with a belt still in hand. The man once crowned king of Western swing didn't beg for mercy. He said she deserved it. What turns a beloved entertainer into Hollywood's most hated name? They called him the King, but his reign ended in blood. Spade Cooley wasn't just a musician. He was a phenomenon. Sold-out shows, Hollywood cameos, and a TV show that reached millions. But behind the charm was a man spiraling into madness. In 1961, Cooley dragged his wife into their bathroom and beat her to death while their teenage daughter watched. The motive? He believed she was cheating. The brutality was beyond description. Broken bones, burns, a crushed skull. And in court, he showed no remorse. Once a golden boy of Western swing, Cooley's music vanished overnight. Stations banned his songs. Fellow entertainers refused to speak his name. Even a late-in-life prison performance couldn't redeem him. He died backstage of a heart attack, before applause could reach his ears. And while his final breath came mid-encore, another star was suffocating under a different kind of silence, one he brought upon himself. He didn't just name names, he handed Hollywood a loaded gun. Adolphe Menjou was once the embodiment of old-school elegance, his polished image gracing screens across America. But when the Red Scare swept through Hollywood, Menjou traded his tuxedo for a witness stand. During the UAC hearings, he eagerly turned over lists of suspected communist sympathizers, fellow actors, writers, directors. Some were friends, others had merely shared a stage. Careers crumbled overnight because of his words. While some saw him as a patriot, most saw him as a traitor. The backlash was swift. Studios, fearing the fury of both sides, quietly pushed him out. He spent the final years of his life trying to justify what he'd done, but the industry never forgave him. And just when you thought betrayal couldn't cut deeper, the next star's darkness was exposed by someone she raised herself. She ruled the screen with iron elegance and ruled her home with something far worse. Joan Crawford's rise was legendary. Academy Awards, silver screen royalty, and a public image built on grit and glamour. But behind closed doors, the woman known for playing strong mothers was accused of being anything but. In 1978, her adopted daughter, Christina, released Mommy Dearest, a memoir that scorched Crawford's legacy. Wire hangers, screaming matches, beatings. The stories were so shocking that some refused to believe them. Others couldn't look away. Though Joan had already passed by then, the damage was immortal. Studios distanced themselves. Tributes were pulled. Even fans who once adored her performances began to see her through a darker lens. No wire hangers became a punchline. But for Crawford, it was a posthumous exile. And while Crawford's legend curdled in hindsight, another star's truth came undone in real time. He played criminals on screen, but it was the real-life whispers that ruined him. Edward G. Robinson was a towering figure in Hollywood's golden age, commanding every frame with that sharp glare and gravel voice. His role in Little Caesar made him a household name. But as the Red Scare tightened its grip, Robinson's reputation began to rot. Though he denied any communist affiliations, his name appeared again and again in investigations. What made it worse? The rumors that he wasn't just acting tough. He had real connections to organized crime. Studio executives panicked. No charges were filed, but it didn't matter. His star power dimmed as producers backed away. He lived long enough to see his legacy fray, caught between political suspicion and moral panic. One of the screen's most commanding presences was left wandering in the margins. But the next star wasn't forgotten, until the day he betrayed everyone who trusted him. He had the face of a hero and the heart of a snitch. Robert Taylor was the perfect leading man, tall, charming, and beloved by audiences across the globe. But when the Cold War paranoia reached Hollywood's front gates, Taylor didn't just step aside. He stepped forward. Called to testify during the HUAC hearings, he didn't hesitate. He named colleagues, writers, directors, people he'd worked with for years. His cooperation earned him favor with the government, but contempt from almost everyone else. Privately, he insisted he was just doing his duty. The backlash was brutal. Former friends refused to speak to him. Roles dried up. The studios stopped defending their golden boy. And though he continued acting for years, the warmth was gone. To many, Robert Taylor's legacy isn't charm or talent. It's betrayal. And if that wasn't enough, the next actor proved charm could be just as dangerous as cowardice. He swashbuckled through cinema, but couldn't outrun the scandals off-screen. Errol Flynn was every studio's dream, daring, dashing, and effortlessly magnetic. But in 1942, that dream curdled into nightmare. Two underage girls accused Flynn of statutory assault. The trial became a media circus. Packed courtrooms, screaming headlines, and Hollywood holding its breath. Flynn was acquitted, but the verdict didn't cleanse the stain. His reputation never fully recovered. Behind the scenes, studios grew wary. Sponsors pulled support. Whispered warnings followed his name. He leaned into the chaos, drinking, partying, womanizing with reckless abandon. What once seemed roguish now felt rotten. By the time he died at just 50, many had already buried his career. The man who once swung from chandeliers died in debt, his legend dulled by scandal. But while Flynn's scandals played out in tabloids, the next star's darkness ended in blood and prison walls. He didn't just play violent men, he became one. Tom Neal made his mark in film noir, radiating danger and tension with every line. But the menace didn't stay on screen. Off camera, Neal's temper was legendary and deadly. In 1951, he savagely beat actor Franco Tone in a jealous rage over a shared lover. Tone was hospitalized with a smashed cheekbone and brain injuries. The industry was horrified. But Neal's true downfall came in 1965, when he fatally shot his third wife. He claimed it was an accident. The court disagreed. Convicted of manslaughter, Neal was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Hollywood slammed the door shut. No more roles, no more second chances. When he died just 4 years after his release, few noticed. Fewer cared. And while Neal's spiral ended in a cell, the next legend fell not from violence, but from the debt he could never gamble his way out of. He made millions laugh, then bet it all away. Chico Marx, the piano-playing prankster of the Marx Brothers, was beloved for his wild accent and boundless energy. But behind the scenes, Chico was battling demons that didn't fit the comedy. He was a compulsive gambler, high-stakes poker, horse races, you name it. He racked up enormous debts, often borrowing money from shady figures just to stay afloat. As his losses mounted, so did his desperation. Studios grew nervous. Whispers of underworld connections started to circulate. By the late 1940s, he was blacklisted from major projects, not because of scandalous headlines, but because no one wanted to risk their name or money on a man who couldn't control himself. He spent his final years scraping by with live performances, a shadow of the icon he once was. But while Chico lost everything to cards, the next exile was punished for ideas, and Genius America couldn't tolerate. They tried to silence him, not with a verdict, but with a border. Charlie Chaplin was more than a filmmaker. He was a global icon. But in post-war America, his genius made people nervous. His political views leaned left. And he wasn't quiet about it. Add to that, a scandalous paternity suit involving a young actress. And suddenly, the laughter stopped feeling safe. In 1952, Chaplin left the U.S. for a film premiere. While he was overseas, the government revoked his re-entry permit. No charges, no trial, just gone. The message was clear. America didn't want him back. Hollywood distanced itself. Projects vanished. Studios stripped his name from future deals. Abroad, he remained a legend. But in his adopted country, he became a ghost. For the man who made the world smile, the exile cut deep. And as Chaplin faded into foreign applause, the next star paid the ultimate price for refusing to fade at all. He wouldn't name names, so they erased his. John Garfield wasn't just talented, he was electric. Every role he touched came alive with intensity and raw vulnerability. But in the 1950s, during the peak of the Red Scare, that same authenticity made him dangerous. Accused of having communist ties, Garfield was summoned by HUAC. Unlike others, he refused to cooperate. He wouldn't point fingers, wouldn't betray colleagues. That decision cost him everything. Studios blacklisted him. Scripts stopped coming. Directors backed out. Under relentless pressure and public suspicion, Garfield's health began to collapse. In 1952, at just 39, he died of a heart attack. Some say from stress, others from heartbreak. His name was quietly removed from the spotlight he once ruled. No grand farewell, just silence. And long after the lights dimmed on his legacy, one question still lingers. How many more were buried by that same silence? They lit up the screen, then vanished behind shadows of betrayal, scandal, or silence. Some were monsters, others merely human at the wrong time. But all were blacklisted, erased from the dream they helped build. If their stories moved you, subscribe and help keep the truth flickering where Hollywood tried to snuff it out.